Hello and welcome to our episode 0 for the Confederate career of Grand Tactician the Civil War. We are going to play with hard difficulty and mediocre aggressiveness. I think these were also the settings that we used in the last campaign. We can see that the Union army starts with 78,000 men under their command, while we have 43,000, and the Union also has 36 ships, while we have 9. We are going to use the historic focuses, meaning that we're playing with the Old Dominion, making Richmond, Virginia our capital. We have King Cotton, meaning that the South has a massive focus on this particular crop, and we have formed an alliance with the natives. And for this playthrough I have turned off the readiness system, so this should hopefully give us a bit more action. And this time we are going to play as a man who sees himself as a Southern gentleman and who is part of the planter aristocracy. Our commander is going to be named Jonathan Lee. He has no family ties with Robert Lee, but he's also not going to correct someone if they assume that. His nickname is of course going to be Johnny. He was born in Virginia on the 4th of July, and he of course believes that he has inherited a legacy because of that birthday. And as he saw it as his duty, but also as his personal way to greatness, he had of course fought in the Mexican-American War, and he served as a junior officer commanding his small unit. He of course also studied at West Point, but he was not a big fan of soldiering. Instead, his motivation was to increase his prestige in the higher circles. Still, he was a competent student and learned from others' successes and mistakes. And if you would ask him what he enjoyed most in his time at West Point, he would of course say the uniforms, the parties and the female attention. After the time in West Point, there were relatively slim opportunities to make a real career in the military, and therefore he focused on more lucrative businesses outside. And if you would ask him what describes his motivation to fight in the Civil War, he would like to say that he just wants to become a decorated war hero and want to create a legend that future generations are going to learn about in history books, but he knows that this is a sword that he better pushes down. So he simply says that he wants to fight to defend his home and family. And if he's going to be confronted with a very controversial order, he is going to demand it in writing, so that he can claim that he isn't responsible for it. He is not going to be overly religious simply because he likes having fun, but he is going to attend sermon regularly, and he is going to try to live according to religious values. And if he's going to get insulted by a fellow officer, he is going to abstain from punching him, but he is definitely going to insult him back. The pastime activity that he enjoys the most are social events where he can mingle with other people and exchange interesting thoughts. And of course his friends would describe him as a well-liked person of good manners and taste, fitting the social status of an officer and a gentleman. For him, the most important quality of an officer is going to be leading by example and encouraging the man even if it puts himself as danger. The virtue that he excels more than other men is hunting dangerous beasts, animals and men alike. He has no fear and he is captivated by the prospect of a killing shot. And he should better not ask what dangerous animals or even men he was hunting on his Virginia plantation. And if there is a disagreement among his peers, he is rather going to give in a bit to get along with the others, and he is sure that the others would follow this example later when he needs support. And amongst the things that he enjoys the most, it is impressing the others with epic stories about his accomplishments. The most accurate description of Americanism for him would be described as follows. It's all about the good old values and the freedom to forge your destiny the way you want, and not according to expectations of others, especially those of the government. And if you would ask him what the real cause of the American Civil War was, he would know deep down that it was about slavery. The states that seceded made this very clear, but of course he's not going to admit that. He is going to say that it's about the federal government and the liberal radicals attacking the southern way of life and trying to force people to give up their God-given freedoms. The goal of his military career is that he wants to become an important and influential general, admired by all. If comparing a military career with other possible options, he is going to say that the main benefits are the social events, the parties, and the admiring attention of the opposite sex. All this in a stunning looking uniform. For him, the most legendary American is of course going to be George Washington, the greatest general and the first president. For him, the best description of the nature of contemporary warfare is that it's almost impossible to overcome a well-prepared defensive positions due to the overwhelming firepower of modern weapons. If his unit is advancing and comes under fire from a well-covered position and the men refuse to advance, he would decide to fall back to find a way around the enemy flank so that he does not have to engage the enemy on the enemy's turn. And if a group of volunteers with overdue contracts refuse to fight when they're marching into battle, he is going to appoint the men to a regiment of their home state and let them join the fight without weapons. They're not going home, at least not before the battle has ended. The most important role of cavalry would be to scout ahead of armies, to harass their lines of communications, and of course to scout out the area. If he loses contact with his commander and an overwhelming enemy force is moving in his direction, he is going to prepare to fight the delaying action to avoid massive casualties, even if that would endanger his commander's battle plan. And if he is ordered to hold the line but in front, there's an even better ground. He is going to write to the commander himself to propose redeployment of the forces further to that position. If his commander disagrees, then be it. If his men are advancing on an enemy flank but the men are tired, he is going to dismount and rush forward with a drawn sword. He is going to scream the home state of that regiment and he is going to make sure that they follow him. For him, the most important quality of an officer is authority. It is most important that the men follow every command that he gives. And he sees a functioning logistics state and open supply lines as the best quality an army can have. And for him, the most important tactical principle would be the use of interior lines to quickly shift point of main effort to defeat the enemy one piece at a time, because he believes that this war is going to be a defensive war and therefore defense in depth is going to have the best chances of success. And as the last thing he would do before marching out with his unit is that he would spend as much time with his family and loved ones. Who knows when he has the option to see them again. We are now ready to sign up and our soldier starts in the rank of a captain. He is a veteran of the American-Mexican War, he is a West Point graduate, and he is also a cavalry specialist. He has also the reputation of being brave and quite heroic, but he also has the reputation of being mischievous. And he is also a fire eater. He is conservative to the bone and he doesn't want anything to change ever.
This step, secession, once taken, can never be recalled. We and our posterity shall see our lovely South desolated by the demon of war. Alexander Stephens, Vice President of the Confederate States of America. Chapter 2. The Demon of War. The election of Abraham Lincoln, an anti-slavery Republican, as the 16th President of the United States was the last straw, triggering secession. One by one, Southern slave states declared secession from the Union and formed the Confederate States of America, led by President Jefferson Davis. This secession ignited the inevitable escalation, with fruitless efforts to still find a political compromise falling on deaf ears. Advocates of armed insurrection and fire eaters roam the states with steel in their eyes, and the public is aroused to volunteer, to fill the ranks, to quell the rebellion, and to preserve the Union or to secure independence from it. Following open hostilities, President Lincoln's militia call for 75,000 volunteers for 3 months' service, sparks incredulous protest and loud outcry among the southern states. And these sparks set on fire the irreversible. More states secede. Now it's war. 75,000, 100,000, and even more. Soon, the largest armies seen on American soil muster, drill, and prepare for war. A war that is to be neat, short, and limited. The whole matter would be settled by Christmas. But a dark shadow would loom over the growing and inexperienced armies. Without a swift and decisive blow from the very offset of the war, there's every chance of a long, confused, and disorganizing civil war, and even foreign powers may feel a desire to take a hand therein. The time is ticking for the newborn Confederacy. The Union must act. The demon of war has awakened.
We are now on the battle map and we can decide what unit we want to take command of. And of course we could take command of a single regiment or maybe even a cavalry troop or an artillery unit. But as we already have pre-war experience and we are very ambitious, we are going to immediately ask to take command of the 2nd Brigade of the Army of the Potomac.
It seems like the whole of America is mobilizing. Men in great numbers from all corners of the country from Maine all the way down to Texas are mustering to serve their nation, to fight for the America they believe in. Such great armies require great leadership, worthy officers to lead them into battle and to victory. And that's where you come in. First of all, sir, let me congratulate you on your recent promotion and commission. Now, you will be a part of historical events unfolding before our very eyes. The men are looking up to you for your leadership and example, and your superiors for your unwavering obedience in carrying out their orders. Prepare yourself and your unit well, as soon you'll join the columns of men as long as one's eyes can see, marching to the sound of guns to make history. Do well, and maybe one day it'll be you commanding our great armies to victory. And when it's all done, you'll have one hell of a story to tell. But let's not get ahead of things now, sir. It's merely the time to start writing that story of yours. Report to your commander at his headquarters at once for your orders. Make your country proud.
We are now officially part of the Army of the Potomac under command of Brigadier General Beauregard. Under us is serving the 5th Alabama armed with mixed muskets, the 6th Alabama armed with the Springfield musket, and the 6th Louisiana also armed with mixed muskets. We also have the 1st Washington Artillery armed with 12-pounder howitzers. And we need to take a look at our headquarters. We only have 496 prestige remaining, meaning that we cannot fill out every position. We're going to pick Lieutenant Arthur P. Badgie Jr. as our aide-de-camp and Captain William Steely as our Adjutant General. Our quartermaster is going to be Captain John G. Walker. And unfortunately, we only have 95 prestige remaining, meaning that we cannot pick subsistence. But if possible, I want to pick Captain Jerome B. Robertson. We might not have a lot of prestige left, but we do have quite a lot of money. We are definitely going to treat us to a nice horse. And we are going to pick a racehorse. This horse is going to decrease order delays and it is going to increase our initiative slightly. And as we are a cavalry specialist, we are of course going to have a Confederate cavalry sword. And we are also going to decide on a Webley longspur, mostly because this weapon was produced in a British gun manufactory and is less common in America. And to make sure that we are not going to be seen as one of the heathens, we are going to take our family Bible with us. And we are also going to carry a spyglass to make sure that we always have a close eye on the enemy. And I think this is going to be it for our episode 0. Next episode we are officially going to take command of the 2nd Brigade, allowing us to perform actions and also to fill out the positions in our camp. And we should potentially also see our first combat with the enemy. I hope you've enjoyed this small introduction to this campaign, and until we meet again, I wish you all a great time.